The chair was velvet, crimson, and very, very empty. That should have been my first warning. The second warning was when 300 alien nobles stopped speaking at the exact same time. The third warning was the whisper at my left ear. Human, you have just claimed the seat of my future mate. The wine glass froze in my hand. Slowly, I turned. Princess Thalva stood beside me. Third princess of the Obsidian Throne. Called across 12 star systems the Blade of Silent Nights. Her midnight blue scales reflected the floating crystal lights of the hall. Her eyes burned like collapsing stars. She had personally executed 17 political targets before her 100th birthday. And I had just taken her seat. I apologize, I croaked. I'm only a trade envoy. Silence. Her tail wrapped around the leg of my chair. Not tight. Not yet. Around us, the grand hall of House Velcroth shimmered with black marble and glowing crystal towers. The Empress herself watched from her throne of crystallized dark matter. In Velcroth culture, nothing was accidental. And I had just publicly declared myself the princess's intended mate. You have 3 options, Thalva said calmly. First, declare yourself my intended and survive the trials of worthiness. Survival rate, 4%. My throat dried. Second, admit to deliberate insult. Punishment, public execution by solar immersion. And third, I managed. Her smile showed titanium shredding teeth. You convince me why I should invent a 4th option. 29 seconds, she added. I thought fast. Velcroth valued strength. Not just muscle. Strategy. Survival. Cunning. 17 assassinations, I said quickly. None in the last 3 years. Her eyes narrowed. You've shifted to diplomacy. Trade summits. Peace talks. 10 seconds, she warned. You need time, I said. Something is wrong inside your court. You can't strike openly. And now I've given you the perfect excuse. Silence. Then something flickered in her eyes. Recognition. She stood. Mother, she called across the hall. I invoke the ancient right of consideration. I will observe this human before the trials begin. The Empress studied us. 1 lunar cycle, the Empress declared. The hall erupted in whispers. Thalva grabbed my arm and pulled me toward a private corridor. When the doors sealed shut, her voice changed. You have 1 month to help me stop a coup. My stomach dropped. My sister, she continued. Princess Calva. She is moving fleets. Quietly positioning loyalists. Preparing to overthrow our mother. She activated a holographic star map. Red systems blinked. She plans to kill me first. And now, I said slowly, the trials give her the perfect excuse. Yes. The first trial would begin in 3 days. The hunt of the Void Drake. A creature that hadn't been killed by a claymate in 60 years. If you die, she said calmly, my reputation collapses. My allies withdraw. Calva wins. And if I survive? Then we both live. We needed proof. Real proof. The encryption keys to Calva's fleet communications were stored in the Vault of Whispers, the Empire's deepest archive. We moved through servant tunnels. That was when we met Vorkel. An elderly Velcroth servant who stepped from the shadows like a ghost. The servants see everything, he said softly. And we choose when to speak. He handed us a crystal key. The second princess fears the human. That caught my attention. She has doubled vault security. You moved her timeline forward. We crawled through maintenance ducts and entered the Vault of Whispers from below. 10 minutes. That was all we had. I scanned Velcroth data architecture differently than she did. Humans look for patterns. Hidden irregularities. There. Financial transfers. Encoded fleet commands. Hidden supply routes. Take it all, Thalva whispered. 7 minutes remaining. Then alarm screamed. Not from us. From the palace above. Assassination alert, she breathed. Your mother, I said. She hesitated. Go, I told her. You're the only one who can stop it. You won't survive alone. Humans are unpredictable, I said. She left. I did the last thing any Velcroth warrior would do. I walked straight toward the biomechanical Vault Guardians. And surrendered. The holding cell was comfortable. Which meant they expected execution. 3 days passed. On the 4th, the door opened. Thalva entered. She had new scars. But she was alive. Your warning saved her, she said. My sister's assassins failed. And the evidence? Decoded. Complete. Damning. Calva had embezzled military funds, ordered covert fleet movement, and sent a message ordering my assassination. The Council of Houses acted immediately. Calva was stripped of succession rights and exiled beyond the outer systems. You are now heir apparent, I said. Yes. And me. She studied me carefully. You surrendered yourself to protect the throne. That's called survival. In Velcroth culture, she replied, it is called loyalty. The council declared me champion of House Velcroth, honorary citizen, diplomatic hero, and legally, her intended. You passed the trials without fighting them, she said. I prefer that. There are dissolution processes, she added slowly, after political stabilization. How long? 6 months. Perhaps a year. We walked out of the cell together. The same nobles who had watched me face death now bowed. As we crossed the hall, she leaned closer. You changed the balance of my empire, she said quietly. With a seating mistake. She smiled. With a human mind. And for the first time, I wondered whether sitting in that chair had truly been an accident. Or destiny. The empire did not calm down after the coup. It only went quiet. And quiet in a warrior empire is never peace. 3 weeks after Princess Calva was exiled beyond the outer systems, the first signs appeared. Fleet captains delayed orders. Supply routes shifted without explanation. Border patrols reported navigation errors that placed warships in very dangerous positions. Officially, everything was stable. Unofficially, someone was testing the throne. And I was still legally bound to the most dangerous heir in 12-star systems. The first attempt on my life came during breakfast. Velcroth cuisine is complex. Heavy spices. Bioluminescent herbs. Fermented protein extracts. Humans digest things differently. That difference saved my life. Halfway through the meal, I felt dizzy. Not collapsing. Just off. Thalva noticed instantly. She always noticed. You are unsteady, she said quietly. I felt worse, I replied. She tasted my drink. Her eyes changed color immediately. Poison. The entire chamber froze. Velcroth toxin would have stopped her heart in seconds. It barely slowed mine. Guards sealed the wing. Servants were detained. Scanners ran across every dish. The poison had been placed only in my portion. Not random. Targeted. That meant 2 things. First, someone inside the palace still wanted me dead. Second, they feared me. That was new. Later that night, Thalva stood at the panoramic window overlooking the capital. The city lights reflected off her midnight scales. My sister is gone, she said. Her allies were removed. Why continue? Because revolutions don't die, I answered. They adapt. She turned slowly. That is a very human statement. Humans are good at surviving when we shouldn't. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You think this is not about you. It's about legitimacy, I said. You won. But you won with human help. Some nobles will see that as weakness. Her jaw tightened. Then they misunderstand strength. Exactly. The second attempt was more direct. A transport shuttle malfunctioned while taking me to a trade summit station. Except humans are paranoid about safety systems. I checked the pre-flight diagnostics myself. Redundant stabilizers had been disconnected. Not by error. By intent. We aborted launch seconds before takeoff. When security traced the override code, it belonged to a mid-ranking officer assigned during Calva's administration. He committed suicide in his holding cell before interrogation. Convenient. Too convenient. The third attempt came at night. I woke to silence. Not ordinary silence. The wrong kind. Air circulation slightly altered. Room temperature 1 degree lower. Humans evolved as prey once. We noticed small changes. I rolled off the bed as a blade sliced through the mattress where my throat had been. The assassin moved fast. Silent. Professional. He didn't expect resistance. He definitely didn't expect a human to throw a heavy crystal lamp directly at his face. He staggered. That was enough. I tackled him into the wall. We crashed through glass panels and slammed into the outer balcony. He recovered faster than I did. Velcroth warriors are stronger. But humans fight dirty. I locked my arm around his weapon wrist and bit down hard on the sensitive joint of his forearm. He howled. Guards burst through the chamber doors. The assassin was captured alive. Under interrogation, he confessed loyalty to House Terran. A minor noble house. Publicly neutral during the coup. Privately connected to Calva's outer fleet movements. Thalva studied the interrogation feed without emotion. House Terran commands 3 border fleets, she said slowly. If they revolt? I asked. Civil war. The Empire had barely survived 1 coup. It would not survive open war. Then don't give them one, I said. She looked at me. What would you suggest, human? Invite them. Her eyes flickered with interest. Invite them. Public ceremony. Unity display. Make them stand beside you in front of the entire council. If they attack, they expose themselves. If they refuse, they expose themselves. Silence. Then a slow, dangerous smile. You are very inconvenient, she said. I've been told. 3 days later, the grand hall filled again. The same crimson chair stood beside hers. Not empty this time. House Terran entered with perfect formality. Their leader, Lord Verix, bowed deeply. Too deeply. Overcompensating. Humans read body language differently than Velcroth. His breathing was too controlled. His guard's fingers rested too precisely along ceremonial cloak folds. I leaned closer to Thalva. Watch the third guard on the left, I whispered. She did not move. Did not react. The ceremony began. In ancient lore, Thalva declared, her voice echoing across black marble walls, the claiming binds 2 destinies. It strengthens not only House Velcroth, but the Empire itself. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. She extended her hand to me publicly. A symbol. A message. I took it. That was when the third guard moved. His cloak split open. Plasma rifle. Everything slowed. Humans don't process faster than aliens. But we decide faster. I pulled Thalva down just as energy fire scorched the throne behind us. Guards erupted into motion. Velcroth warriors are terrifying when unleashed. Within seconds, the attackers were neutralized. Lord Verix tried to flee. He didn't make it 10 steps. The hall fell silent. Smoke drifted upward. Thalva rose slowly. Her eyes burned brighter than I had ever seen. House Terran, she said calmly, is dissolved. No shouting. No rage. Just certainty. Within hours, loyal fleets surrounded Terran-controlled systems. Communications were seized. Commanders arrested. The rebellion collapsed before it fully formed. Because they moved too soon. Because they underestimated something. Not Thalva. Me. Later that night, she stood alone in the throne chamber. The shattered crystal behind her had not yet been replaced. You saw it before my own guards, she said quietly. Humans specialize in noticing what doesn't fit, I answered. You are not physically stronger, she continued. You are not faster. Yet you change outcomes. We survive by thinking sideways. She stepped closer. When you first sat in that chair, I thought you were a mistake. Fair. Now I see something else. What? An advantage no empire predicted. Weeks passed. Order returned. Trade resumed. The outer fleets pledged loyalty. The council formally confirmed Thalva as heir apparent to the Obsidian throne. And then came the final matter. The claiming. We stood once more in the Grand Hall. Fewer guards this time. Less tension. More stability. By ancient law, the High Chancellor announced, the claiming may now be dissolved, should either party request it. Silence filled the chamber. Thalva looked at me. No command in her eyes. No political calculation. Just choice. You are free to return to your people, she said softly. You have fulfilled every obligation. Earth. My government. My original mission. All technically complete. I looked at the crimson chair. The one that had nearly gotten me executed. The one that started everything. When I sat there, I said slowly, I thought it was the worst mistake of my life. A faint curve touched her lips. And now? Now I think it was the best. Gasps echoed quietly across the hall. You would remain? She asked. Not as a symbol. Not as a political shield. But because I choose to. Humans don't bind easily. We value independence. Freedom. Choice. That is exactly why this mattered. She extended her hand. This time, not as heir. Not as blade. But as partner. I took it. The High Chancellor bowed. The claiming stands. 300 nobles lowered their heads. Not to a human spy. Not to an accident. But to a decision. Later, as the hall emptied, Thalva spoke quietly. You understand what this means. I do. You will be watched. I already am. You will be tested. I prefer tests to executions. She laughed softly. A rare sound. You are strange, human. With us, I replied, it's usually both. Outside, the capital city glowed under twin moons. Inside, the empire had changed. Not because a human conquered it. Not because of superior weapons. But because one human refused to die quietly. Refused to think like everyone else. And when given the wrong chair, sat in it anyway. HFY theme message. Humans are not the strongest. We are not the oldest. We are not the most advanced. But when the galaxy puts us in an impossible position, we adapt. We endure. And sometimes, we stay.